Grandpa Stephen made several passes down this road in time. In 40 years, how many times do you think he might have traveled it? Sure he had more those little gaps. Goes there. Christmas side here.
Start of that reroute brings a thunderous sound, with voices raised to burst and lions down. One by one the voices die, one by one they fall aside, till there's only one man left to raise the call.
Here's a playground at the end of the road.
Now drunk is he
Never had a playground for kids.
rise again and drink once more. Drunk is he who prostrate lies.
Here's the closest neighbor. Few ghosts hanging out here for Halloween. Plus a pumpkin. There's the old farmer now.
Slow down in there, huh?
I'm drunk, you see, from the floor, can rise again and drink once more. Drunk, you see, prostrate life.
Just pulling into the old homestead now. Trailer's up for deal. Go. Here we are. This is live from the Stevens household out in Skeed. That's a little bit past the Sudbury Airport for those of you that don't know. We're at the residence of, like I said, Stevens, Norm and Sheila Stephen. We're just having a little informative talk with them, trying to get a little bit of history after 50 years of marriage. I wasn't supposed to be on camera today. I just thought I'd let you know. I was supposed to be just father and mother. Yeah, my hair isn't just the way I like it. Anyways, with that, we're just going to have a little bit of a lead-in. Dad's going to talk to us a little bit, and then I have some questions to ask him. Mother is also present, and when we're finished with Dad, we're going to move on to Mom. So take it away, Dad.
Okay.
Okay, so the first question is, I had to come into this world and I was born on September the 21st, 1923. I remember it quite well. In fact, it was after midnight. I just had a glimpse at the clock. We didn't have good lighting in those days. We used to have an old rosette with a drop cord and one single bulb. They kept them around 40 watts because of the cost of the hydro. Everybody was thinking to save money in those days. We had the doctor was late, so Mrs. Sobey delivered me. She was a nice lady, fairly stout, French-Canadian, very nice. She thought I needed a little heat, and I understand I was put on the door of the wood stove just for a little bit of incubation. I don't remember very much from 1923 on until we got our vaccination, I think sometime in between 23 and 29. It was a procedure where they put a drop of the liquid on your arm and then scratched 3 times. Quite painful, as I remember. My brother thought that he had seen a bird with a vaccination when he spotted a red-winged blackbird in the swamp. We got quite a big drive out of that. In 1929, our house burnt down, and we rebuilt on the same lot. And going to school was, you remember your first day in school, the rest had got to be routine. I used to like to go to school. It was very interesting to me. First time I met Sheila was down at the river. She was about 6 or 7 years old, and the meeting wasn't the most pleasant. I was preparing to throw a can into the river so that we could sink it, and it happened to be full of oil, and she had a new frock on, and it went from her feet right up to her head, and because I was throwing it around, over my head and around and round and round, so I gave her a good licking with that. Walking to school, I used to like to walk to school with Sheila, just slightly behind because she had a nice wiggle. And it's surprising how we appreciated those things. So we became friends, and this would be when? This would be during the 30s, and then in 1941 I joined the Navy, and we had an unfortunate breakup in our love for each other, and never for the love for each other, but just the situation, because I took some ill advice from one of the older fellas in the Navy and so on. And then we moved on to after the wartime session, and then into 1947, and Sheila lost her husband, and I heard about it and went up to visit her, and then we seemed to just click in from old times. This would be in June of 47, and I married her in November of 47 in Huntsville. And that was November the 1st, of course. The first place we lived in Capriol was Pussyfoot Johnson's place, and it was just like trying to heat a barn. And then I moved into my brother Charlie's place in 1948, and then moved over to my brother Bill's place in 1950. That was right on the Young Street in Capriol. Each time we moved, there was an improvement. And in 53 we moved to Sudbury and spent one winter there. That was the year I coached the kids. I coached the kids in hockey, and we won the Northern Ontario Playground Association Championship. We were quite proud about that. Then we moved to Maley's Corner on Falconbridge Road, and we stayed there from 54 to 56, and then came to Skeed in 56. That would be August. Then we ran into another cold winter, and the place was only set up for summertime, so again. And all this time Sheila stayed with me, and we struggled along. In 1957, after the one winter, we decided to build where we are today. Sheila wasn't too enthusiastic about it, but after a while it kicked in, and I convinced her to every nail that we drove was going to be ours. During all this time, of course, I was active in the union, because I had left the CNR and come to Falconbridge after working a short period at the radar base, a couple of years. And during that time, of course, the children were arriving and none were leaving, and we accumulated 7. And just a minute, I don't even understand my own writing here. Oh yeah, I guess one of the place where we decided to build the house was the place where we saw the first signs of spring, and I decided to build, and that was all there is to it. I had I can't think of the cadet that dug the hole for the basement. But anyway, it cost me $50, I think it was, to excavate. And we put in the footing, and then I had a friend of mine do the corner blocks and squared the building and squared the footing, and everything was all ready for my 2 weeks holidays. And that I never laid a block before in my life, but we did pretty good. Of course, the basement is still holding the building. And it was 1957, 58, 1959 we got hydropower because we had all the utilities here, but nothing worked, or nothing was no power. I managed to convince the hydro, I won't go into the language I used, but they ran the hydro line down from Kennedy's to our place to get us started. Then of course we got the water supply, and in that same Christmas of '59, the gift for the house for Christmas was a toilet, an inside toilet. And I think, as I remember, it cost me about $54, but that was just part of the accomplishments and the joys of not using the outside john at 10 and below. I decided to tell the government that I was on that piece of property in 1962, I think it was, 57, 58, 60. Yeah, 1962. And I introduced the thing to Mr. Curry, who was then with the Department of Lands and Forests Land Division, and advised him that I was interested in buying a piece of property behind lot 39 and 40 on his map M137. He said, well, you sound as though you're pretty familiar with it. I said, yes, I've been living on it now for 5.5 years. I said, I'd like to buy it. So I immediately phoned Sheila and told her what would happen, that I'd let the cat out of the bag. And I said, when these guys show up, if and when they do, I said, just pretend that you don't know anything about it. You're dumb. And that's what she did. I used to work from Tuesday to Saturday in those days, and I was off Sunday, Monday. And I went in to see or at least Mr. Curry, and he was quite interested in the fact that I'd been there. How did you do this? He says. It was a long story. I won't go into it. But all this time, again, I have to keep repeating that. Sheila and I never faltered in any way as far as our affections for our one another. I ran into I guess I'm trying to recall 1965, 66, 67. We just kept improving all the time. Just the lots. I should go back to Mr. Curry, I guess, again, because he was going to sell us 100 feet at $2.50 a foot. He said, "That's all I can sell you, because I can't sell you any more than that." I said, "Well, what's wrong with selling the wife the same amount?" "Yeah, I guess we could do that," he said. So that's when we got 200 feet by 350 feet. And we've, like I say, been improving this ever since. The
Excuse me,
You just
this
hold it
is
up.
a little break. Yeah, hold up.
I just got some instructions here from my wife. It
50
says here,
years.
stop scratching your head. You're on camera. Can you imagine? All these things are supposed to be done when the wife is someplace else, obviously.
I think so.
Now, I guess in we'll skip along in the 1965 we moved from the house temporarily into the mine mill hall, and things were pretty treacherous at that time because we were all supposed to be communists, and the odd rock coming through the windows of the apartment and the glass spraying on the kids was not unusual. We won the right to maintain Local 598, and really it started in 1959 and ran right through till 1967 when the Ontario, I got it, I have to scratch to think. 19. Anyway, the steel workers decided that Local 598 had to become steel, and we decided not to. This included the fights that took place locally, and then the convention that was supposed to let Mine Mill go defunct, and that was held in Winnipeg. We decided to go alone, and we won the case in '57. It was a very trying time. That was about the time that Dr. Maya told me to get out of the union business and stop stressing myself because I was developing a heart problem. So I didn't change anything too much until in the 1970s, and I started to realize in 1972 I was diagnosed with as a diabetic, and in 1979 I had my first open heart surgery, and I had to go into retirement in effective 1980. I had to repeat the open heart again in 1985, and then again in 1993. But Sheila had established herself in our relationship was so established that it just been a continuing thing. Without her, I've never survived. I'm positive of that. We just have a good and solid love for one another that I hope never changes. But we are looking at a little bit of the ridiculous because we know it can only go for so long. That's about it, I guess. Just that she's my sweetheart.
Oh, well done. Well done. Well done. Yeah, we were all right.
sorry, we're out of the favorite chair. We didn't have enough cord on the camera, so therefore Mom's at the end of the table. We had a little bit of interruption with the phone ringing, but now we're ready to go. Here's Mom. After 50 years of married to one man.
Yes, that's a long time to be with one man, believe me. Well, Norman told you all our history about going to school and what we did and that, but as I said, he never mentioned very much about his children. But I met him in Cape Real when I moved there when I was 6, and he was a real brat, and he hasn't changed any since. And we moved around from Cape Real to Sudbury and Skeed Road and then out to Skeed, which he's told you all about. And our children, some of them were born when we lived in Cape Real and others when we were in Sudbury, and the last 2 when we were in Skeed. Outside of that, we've had quite a good life in this, well, I don't know what you would call it. We called it our basement. First of all, it was called the dugout for years, but then we finally got an upstairs on it. But the children all have grown up here, and we had lots of good times, lots of noisy times, and we enjoy having our family fish fry every year, where we have all of the family comes, and we celebrate my mother's birthday, and lots of friends are invited too. And well, as Norman said, we've all had different jobs. When I first came out here, I was one of the first librarians they had in Skeed, Mrs. Bignall and I, and we donated a lot of time there. Then my next job in Skeed was being the friendly tax collector for 7 years, which some people didn't care about, but it kept me busy at night until 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, because I didn't have enough to do, of course, with 7 children. And then since then, I've been doing a lot of work for the seniors, and I'm still there. And our gang keeps coming home with all the grandchildren, and we really enjoy it. And as I say, this is our 50th year. It's supposed to be the golden years, but sometimes you have your doubts. But I imagine we hope to be around for at least another 5, maybe 10 if we're lucky. But there will be no more of this, because Valerie and the other girls and sons, they did it on our 25th. They did it again to us on our 40th. And now we're here at our 50th, and they're back at it again. So that's about it. Valerie has a bunch of questions, so we'll get on with them. Okay, Val, what are you going to ask me?
Okay. I just wanted to maybe have your thoughts of when you were little. Did you ever, like, what were your thoughts about getting married someday? What did you think that your marriage was going to consist of? Did you dream about? Or
I never thought I would get married, and when I did, I always had in the back of my mind I'd never have any more than 2 children. But this was just thought to see what happened. I had 7. And I never thought I'd be living in the bush for over 40 years.
nah. And who did you think you might marry? Did you think it was going to be a prince on a white horse on all of that?
No, everybody dreams of marrying somebody with lots of money. What a joke. You got to earn your money.
And I was about when the first time you met Norman, but we sort of heard about the oil can episode already with the history part.
Yeah, well, I met him at school. We were all in the same classrooms for a while, until he fell by the wayside and stayed behind, and I beat him.
Yeah. And what did you think of him at that time?
I thought he was a real slob.
Has your impression improved at all?
Why, yes, with help.
Well, that's good. When did you know that he was the one for you?
Oh, I don't know. Sometime during our high school years, teenage years. But then after that, as he said, he joined the Navy. He went one way. I went to Nobel Ammunition Plant and worked there. And it was a long while after that before we got back together again.
Yes, and I was your firstborn after that, wasn't I?
Oh, yeah, you were Valerie.
There
The
we
one
go.
that fell behind the bed. The only one of my kids that never stayed where she
behind
was
the
put. Never stayed where she was put. She rolled behind the bed.
And you were married
In Huntsville.
in Huntsville, and you wore,
Blue.
we weren't sure if the father knew that, but we just didn't get that far.
Well, my father
And-
wouldn't remember that.
Oh, yes, I did.
He was there, wasn't he?
I think
I
so.
guess.
I think so.
Somewhere.
We were married by the United Church minister in his manse in Huntsville.
And
Macmillan,
your-
his name was.
Your people that stood before you?
Aunt Rita and Uncle Leonard.
And Aunt Rita
Thorne.
has since passed away, but Uncle Leonard is not well enough to
No, he's not
come
well
up.
enough to attend, no.
Yeah, this time. And then your first live, like Dad said, was in the ball field.
Well, we had a really good landlord. He was a very, very, well, I just put it this way. He was a peeping Tom. You had to make sure that your windows were all well blocked off at night, and then he used to sit beside the petition because it was a double house. And he used to listen to what was going on our side.
Oh,
We've had lots of fun, lots
Yeah, I
of experiences.
guess so.
Oh, yeah.
what would you say were your hardest years?
Out here with no hydro and everything sitting around, and you have these gas lamps that I wouldn't light. Norman would go fishing and he'd come home after dark and I'd be sitting with candles because I wouldn't light.
So therefore, he was late getting home.
Oh yes, always.
Always late.
Always late. Till I had to lay down the law. You be home by dark. You can go back again, but I'm not lighting those lamps. And the fun that we had in those years, another thing that was really funny was Mr. Hines loaned me a gasoline washer. So you put the exhaust pipe for that out the kitchen window, whether it was summer or winter. And once it started to work, your machine danced all over the floor unless you held it down with something.
And the water? Did you have the water then, or were you carrying the water
No,
for
we
these
were still
washers?
carrying water then. The boys used to just love it when they came home from school and had to take the
Just
toboggan with the big cans and go down to Mrs. Gravel's to get our water for us. That
And-
was lots of fun.
Tell us about your iron.
Oh, I had gasoline irons. And if you didn't watch, they burned everything.
So there was quite a struggle getting the washing and ironing done
Oh,
for
you're not kidding.
7 kids and 2 adults.
That's right.
Is it true that it's the little things in the marriage that bothers you? That they say that people are creatures of habits, and like sometimes they repeat the little things, like don't put the lid on the toothpaste. or something.
And leave
Were
the
there-
cupboard doors open. And always, he's always scratched his head when he starts to talk. Didn't matter if we were out at a banquet and he was asked to speak at a supper or something. He did it.
So those were the little things.
Yeah, little things like this that get you.
Were there big things?
Yeah. Forgetting to come home for supper and closing up the hotel at Boland's Bay with Gibby Bouchard and Bill Hayes and Steve Popowich and a few more of them.
Robert
Pete
Demore.
Charbonneau.
And Robert Demore and Pete Charbonneau. Oh, yeah. It was things like that. It was nice, especially when you didn't have lights.
Yeah. Oh, sitting in the dark.
Yeah, candlelight. Well, we always eat by candlelight.
There we go. We had romantic dinners.
That's right.
And what are some of your better memories?
Oh, we've had lots of fun with all of our children, and we used to go when we lived in Cape Real. We used to walk out the road to the Greens Lake on Sundays, and we would leave instructions with the taxi driver should it start to rain, come and pick us up. A couple of times he forgot, and once when Auntie Betty and the boys and Uncle Elmer were visiting us, we were all out at Greens Lake, and we kind of got a little wet before we got home. We got home and got all these kids changed and fixed up again, and the sun came out. So that was a lovely day. But we've always had lots of picnics. We went camping. We took our grandchildren with us. Dean Robert went with us for 16 years of his life when we went on holiday trips. We had half the kids in Skeed with us when we went over to Stevensville camping because everybody had a friend they had to bring. So we had 6 tents along the shoreline over there. So it's always been a fun time around here.
And for your final
We
question,
enjoyed the kids.
50 years, like especially when you're talking to the little ones, like that's
It's a long time.
Yes. What would your advice be to your loved ones for a lasting relationship? Like to-
Well, I don't know. Do as much as you can together. That's the main thing. And enjoy your kids while they're young. That's about it.
Thanks, Mom. Now, Father has he sort of got his ear full here. He wasn't supposed to be around for these questions, so now he's got a head start on Mother. He did answer some of them, but we're going to zoom back to him for a couple of minutes, and I'll just go through some of these questions that he hasn't already answered and see if his memory's as good as Mom's.
Come back.
Okay, and here we are. You sort of covered it before, Dad, a little bit, and that was when you were little. Though, did you ever think about someday being married? Like, what were your thoughts on marriage as a
Oh
youngster?
yeah, I made up my mind to marry Sheila. This was when we were going to school.
Okay. So did you do anything nice, like to court her or to go in that direction? Did you put yourself out at all?
Oh yeah, I used to remember her birthday. And it was a big deal if I could. Just a jar of cold cream was a
Good gift.
marvelous deal, because you were shoveling snow and saving money, and we used to work all morning from 9 till noon, piling slabs for the Plexman apartment block and the Plexman theater. Then we'd get into the movie for free, but I still had to make a dime to get her in for the matinee. Then you'd take her out for a treat. You'd go down to the Canton Cafe, and Jigs would serve us a bowl of soup with 2 spoons.
There you go.
That's true.
So,
And no ketchup in the soup.
No ketchup.
oh, there you go.
No ketchup. We used to spike the soup with ketchup in order to get some value out of it.
Well, that was nice. At least he supplied the 2 spoons. That way you didn't mix any germs.
That's right.
So it wasn't
That was 10 cents a bowl too.
So really, you didn't have to think about who you might marry. You knew.
Oh yeah,
You knew
guaranteed.
almost right away.
This was my woman. This is going to be my lady.
And the first time you had met her, like you said, was in school.
Just going to school, yeah.
And at that time, what did you think? This was the girl of your
Yeah,
dreams.
yeah.
And so there goes question number 4, because it was like, when did you know? But you knew immediately. And again, just to review where you were married.
Yeah, we bought our license in Bracebridge, and came back to Parry Sound, and then had to wait the usual 3 days, and then we went down to Huntsville on Halloween night. And the preacher says, I can't marry you tonight, because he said, I'm too busy. And at that time they used to get all the school kids together and their band and march them down the street in costume to the local arena, and they'd have their scrambles and the dunking for apples and so on and so on. So we got married the following day, November the 1st, and I think the time was 11 in the morning, something like that.
Yeah.
And was it a weekend or
Yes.
a weekend?
It was a
Yeah,
weekend.
I believe it was.
Yeah, it was a weekend.
And the preacher had a problem, because he had laryngitis from yelling the night before. But we managed to get through the wedding ceremony quite nicely. Headed back for Parry Sound. I had to get back up to Capriol for the Monday morning to go to work. And that's the way it's been or was. Either.
So as far as your memory can go back, and like, what did you find were the hardest years? Where you had to struggle the most?
I guess I go back to the fact that we didn't have any water in '57, and then trying to get established as and getting a home. The living in the basement for that stretch of time from '57 till '64, and my times were really when you had to live from payday to payday and try and get enough money ahead to accumulate enough number to add the next little piece. But what really helped in that aspect was the VLA loan, the Veterans Lands Act, that allowed a veteran to borrow money from the government with reasonable interest, and then we were able to put up the A-frame.
From that.
Yeah.
That helped you out. And is it true, like I asked Mom, there's the little things in a relationship that get to you after a while, like leaving the tube off of the toothpaste, and like mother related, that like you used to forget to come
That never
home.
bothered me. Nothing really bothered me. But I built a lot of things temporarily that are still temporary. But
Did it bother you when she used to walk around with a dust mop in one hand and a duster in the other
well,
for so many years?
actually, you get a bit complacent after a while. You know, it's something they have to accept. That's
So
the
when
nature
she
of the.
dusted you off, you didn't mind.
That's right. It's the nature of the beast.
Oh, I see. And then what were some of your fondest memories?
Just being with her and the children. We had always, well, I find anyway, and I guess Sheila is likewise, that every child that's born, there's love born to accommodate them. And the little things that we enjoyed most were like walking over to Pike Lake to have a picnic. And there's really nothing at Pike Lake, but it was a joy just to
Everybody
go.
over the mountain.
We had a cat that used to follow us over there, and we always had a dog. And at one point in time, when they used to come out, and they're still doing that, is dump the strays on the highway, then drive away and leave the dogs. We had 4 dogs here at one time. Brownie and Luke and Mike
Major.
and Major. And but we've always had
We had a few chickens and pigs.
oh
and
yeah, pigs.
rabbits.
Yeah, we experimented with lots of things. The only problem with both Sheila and I and banties, we had lots of little banties, but we fall in love with them. And they, you just with the pigs, we were able to, with regret, slaughter them. But I raised 2 groups of pigs. The first were Frisky and Whiskey, and the next were Esther Williams and Grunt, and what was the other?
Arnold. Little Arnold.
Little Arnold. Arnold was in every group we had a group of 5 pigs, and it doesn't matter how many you have. There's always a runt, so they just crowd them out. It's a pecking order, just the same as the chickens.
So have you had any words of wisdom to pass on to your loved ones of what it takes for a lasting relationship? Like a
Well, the
50
most
years.
important thing is you have to love your partner, and it's a test for tolerance because it's a shared thing. You can imagine that over 50 years you've had problems that had to be looked after, problems that didn't have to be looked after, things that she thought were a problem have no significance to me whatsoever. But whatever it was a good blend, and to me, it was a perfect blend.
So communication.
That's right. You have to communicate all the time. If you have to lie a little bit once in a while, make sure they're white.
Well, there you go. So there we have it. A little interview with Norm and Sheila Stephen just a week prior to their 50th wedding anniversary. Mother sort of hinted that it was 25 and then it was 40 and now it's 50 and she didn't want to hear about anymore. This time we got permission. There was no surprises. We had a few family meetings and we sat down and we let them know exactly what was going to be taking place. This little video is just a little bit of history on tape for everyone. We're going to play this tape just for the family members later on at David and Colette's, where, because first of all, from 2 to 4 is this little drop-in at the center, right actually on their anniversary date, and as many of the family and grandchildren that can possibly make it will be here. And they will just share a little time with their friends, and then family will get together and party and have maybe a little bit of champagne down at David and Colette's. So everything, what we hope will go off with a hitch. We all gave Father our permission that if he gets a little bit tired, he can have a little bit of a rest, but Mom's staying with the rest of us. Thanks, we'll see you then.
There we go. Hi everyone.
Hi.
Here we are today. We're visiting Grandma
Goodness sakes.
at the Nassau residence. Look at what time it is. Hi,
How long?
Gran. I got you on now, Gran.
There.
How long have you been living here, Grandma?
Just about a year.
You like it here?
Oh, I like it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
I guess it wouldn't be so bad if I wasn't with the ones in that bed.
Oh, yeah.
So here we are in your room. Been here almost a year already.
What are you still taking the picture?
Yeah.
Oh, my
It
goodness.
goes on a film, and we can see it on TV after.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Lacey and Craig are all the way up here from Chalk River on March break.
Yeah.
And there's Lacey. There's the angel. Hi, angel.
Hi,
Mhm.
Papa.
With black wings.
With the
This
black
time you can
wings, eh?
wave, you don't have to crash into this machine like last time.
Oh,
And Craig. Hey, Craig, we're going to go for a haircut after, right?
Yeah.
put my feet down.
Yeah, his hair's getting a little long. So
Right.
yeah, we're just scanning around your room here, Grandma. We're looking, taking pictures of the room.
Take a picture of our board.
What you got in here? Pictures of the boys catching fish. Norman, Sheila, Marcel, Heather,
Too many.
Fat Cat, Dean, and the, there's your dad up there. Did you see that, you guys? Picture of your dad and
There's
Glenn.
Archie's picture, though.
Mm-hmm. Archie's up here.
That's Archie's
That's
picture.
Grandpa Ray.
And she has her board.
Yeah.
You know, focus, focus.
He
Come on,
is
baby.
with me anyway.
That's it.
Yeah. He's with ya.
Timetable of when you're going to eat. Oh, there's Norm again. And
That's at their 50th
oh,
at David and Colette.
there's
Curtis is
Grandma
up
and her
there,
sister.
too.
Right, that's last summer. In July at our house, or was it August? Fish fry?
August.
Fish fry, yeah.
Yeah. And only Uncle Jack. Grandma was sitting there.
And she's having her slush there.
Yeah.
She's having a little drink of slush, eh, Grandma?
Yes.
So how old are you this August, Grandma?
Well, I guess what am I anyway? 95.
That's right. You'll be 95 this
Right.
August. Yeah. And when you had a dream when you were a little girl, how old did you say you were going to live to?
Oh, I forget now.
Told me 102.
Was it that? Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Well, I know that's the glass was what it was.
Well, you got to go with that, right?
Yeah. Gotta go with the flow.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I'm scared to wake up in the morning in case they ain't gonna wake up for another morning.
Mm-hmm.
No, let alone after I get it.
And Graham, she's pretty frisky yet. The last time I was in here, she wanted to wrestle with me. She wanted to fight, arm wrestle.
Yeah.
Tougher than nails, that girl.
Yeah. This is her car now. This
Yep.
is her car. It has push power.
Push power.
How many times do you have to go up and down stairs, Grandma?
I go up and down stairs 6 times.
6 times a day.
6 times a day, that keeps you fit.
I take that with me. back and forth.
Back and forth.
Hmm.
Tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day.
Yes. And there's going to have a party here. Irish Heritage Dancers at 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Where at? Where
Here.
At? Here?
Yeah, downstairs at 2 o'clock.
Oh,
We're going to have some Irish dancers. So you have to stay down there after lunch
I
so you
guess
don't miss them.
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay, Graham, I'm
I didn't
gonna
hear anything about that.
I'm gonna end this now. Do you want to say bye?
Hey, Rich?
Say bye to everyone?
Hi or bye to everybody in the camera.
No.
No? Want to say anything?
Hi to Sheila.
I think I'm to figure it's a nice present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, Graham, it was nice to talking to you. I'm gonna end it now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.